Hi
Hi,
Nitin. Hi,
how
hi.
are
How are you?
you?
All
I'm
well.
very good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I think I'm audible enough.
Yeah, very.
Okay, super. How have you
Okay,
been?
great. So I've been very good. So let me introduce you to our viewers of today. So today we have with us Noorein Kapoor. She's from Noorein Kapoor Designs. Very interesting thing about her is that she is also a psychologist. So she's done her psychology as well as architecture. And I understand with the growing difficulty in client handling, I think this profession, or let's say this skill, is uh, really helps her in managing her clients well, because that's something which we are at a disadvantage of. And so today's topic for the day is innovation and technology in fenestration systems.
Yes.
Noreen, you would like to introduce yourself and say a few words about what kind of work you like to do, and something about your firm.
Okay. I think for all the people who follow our design sensibilities, I think we can be extremely bold and in terms of using colors, and we can be a little wild and crazy sometimes. I think my core, design, takeaways come from, our clients. They are
Correct.
like our muse. They are the muse, and we design around their, personalities. So we have various clients, very different from each other, and it's fun to really work with the way they are and what they like, and we really study them. We normally send out a questionnaire to them, get them to fill it, and then that helps us understand them better, and that's how we work on our designs. So yeah, each project is extremely different. Each project is very, very, we don't like to repeat designs as such, but we really make things very, very different in each project. But at the same time, I think we stick to, a certain sense of core that, of design that we believe in, So yeah, we do work with trends. We sometimes don't work with trends. It depends on the clients. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Great. I mean, I think the best thing about your trade is that probably you are able to try your creativity as per the expectations of different clients. I mean, it's not a very state product as ours, which is manufacturing a fenestration system and innovating and designing it. But yes, it's always, I would say it's a very interactive and a creative experience to have, so many clients with different, I would say, thoughts. And again, I think it's actually an amalgamation of an architect and a customer's expectations of how the interiors or the dwelling should be. So that I find that pretty interesting of an architectural trade, or for that matter, an interior designer.
yeah, I guess that's why the psychology part of my, my studies has helped me survive this particular industry. It's not easy,
Okay.
to deal with. We're not always just dealing with only one client. We are always, there's a family. We are interacting with many people. So it's very important to kind of understand each and everyone's needs, in a home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it's all about that.
So I'd also like to tell the viewers that, Nuri is also very fond of photography, art, and travel. So would you like to share some, experiences on that front as well? I mean, before we start on the mundane question and answer session.
I think, yeah. So art definitely does show in my designs. In compare, like when there's a project where we literally did, like, we painted a whole wall with, like, with this whole amalgamation of, art, like, taking away from Picasso's, artwork, creating, some kind of an design on a whole passage wall. So we work with, like, art in various forms, whether it's doing a whole, getting an artist to paint a whole wall, or maybe using, art in the form of, like, say, fabrics, or say, painting an entire ceiling with something, or it could be anything, right? So I think art is definitely, one of the, like, I do get inspired a lot, whether it's art, whether it's color. We do use a lot of color blocking many a times. We work with bold colors. Of course, each client, has their own, thoughts about it. Some clients like bold colors, some clients don't. So it all depends. It all revolves around their needs. But where travel is concerned, of course, I'm extremely inspired and passionate by my travels. I think, in fact, when we were, in the lockdown, because we couldn't travel, and in fact, I took inspiration from one of the shows that, like, literally took me to Paris, which was Emily in Paris, and we designed the whole project, taking inspiration from that show. It was a Netflix show, but we took design sensibilities, we took inspiration, and we created this whole project which we call Jaguar. So yeah, we took inspiration from travel. So inspiration could be anywhere, whether it's art, travel, whether it's photography, photographs, whether it's of my projects, whether it's before, afters, like documenting all this, even when I'm traveling. So yeah, I'm pretty passionate about it.
Okay, great. So one thing very intriguing for me, and I am kind of compelled to ask this question, is that other than managing the clients, does psychology or a skill in psychology that help you in understanding a template or let's say a pattern in most of the customers? Example, let's say you said that art obviously is very pacifying for most of the customers when you use them in the right way. So are there some key takeaways wherein from a psychology point of view there is a pattern which someone can follow which can help in designing for a dwelling or a place for customers, which most of the customers will feel probably pacified with, good about, or let's say something to do with in the design aspect. Psychology lends a lot of I would say input in managing their expectations and giving them a good experience.
I think no amount of psychology or no amount of studies can help you navigate a one on your what's most important in a client and designer relationship is, I think, to understand the client's heart, the client's soul. I think once you understand them really well and you hit off on a very good note and you really start chatting with them, I think that friendship, that you can create that bond, because we are not just selling some product to them, we're working with them on their home. It's literally like the most cherished part of their
Look
life.
forward,
It's like,
yeah.
hello,
Yeah.
sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that, a home is obviously like one of the most important parts of their home. So because it's very important to kind of create that kind of a relationship with them where, they take us into their homes, taking us through their, most private parts of their homes, whether it's their wardrobes, their toilets, their bedrooms, how they live. So it's very important to understand that kind of living, that kind of style. So I think that only can come with, like, human interaction. No amount of, say, yes, psychology is, of course, by studying psychology you can kind of tap into that with any person, but the point is, I think, a one-on-one dialogue, a one-on-one conversation, is the most important thing to kind of navigate through designs and clients and, like, really understanding them, yeah, deeply.
Okay, sorry for grilling you on psychology more than interior design. So let's
Yes,
let's move to
let's
our first
navigate to
question.
fenestration.
Yeah. Okay, our first question. So how do you kind of look at fenestration or role of fenestration while approaching your projects?
Fenestration, I think, is extremely important for us. It's the starting point of any project. Windows are like, uh, they are the visual extension of any space. Whether it's a beautiful view, they frame your view for you. So imagine, like, creating a window, like whether it's a picture window or whether it's adding Georgian bar details to your window. I think windows are so important with health, with because you obviously have fresh ventilation coming through. So the kind of windows, the way you plan your windows, whether you're planning a two-track window, whether you're planning a top hung window, whether you're planning a slanted tilted window, whatever window you're planning, the opening span of it is so important. The way it's like a visual extension to your space. So I think it's very, very important to understand and plan the expanse of it, also to bring in the natural light. So when we start designing projects, what happens is that we actually start looking at where is the natural light best pouring in from. Is it, which area of the home is, where we can bring in more natural light. Recently we did work on a home that was very dark. So we literally wanted to like bring in so much of natural light that we had to like between two rooms we had to break through like the wall which was against the window to kind of show the expanse of the window of the living room and that bedroom together, and we made a sliding kind of a wall there. So really working with the obviously on layout, understanding where the light can come in and how smartly can you bring that light in, to double up in the space to create a more lit up space. And I think what's happened is post pandemic, a lot of people want more natural light.
Yeah,
That urge of wanting to go out or be out and really valuing sunlight and the natural light and fresh air has become such a thing that with windows it's become like more is more and bigger is better. I think it's become that way. So we've been kind of working with clients on that front. We're trying to like bring in different types of windows, whether it is working with slimline. Nowadays slimline series have come in into the
correct.
picture. There are different kind of materials, so we'll come to the materials, but windows are extremely important for us. The larger the windows the better. I think that is a trend nowadays, and yeah, that's how we start planning our space with natural light.
Okay, I mean, just to summarize your answer, probably for you, Windows basically try and connect the habitant of the dwelling or the building with its natural habitat, which is nature.
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
bringing in light, maybe bringing in ventilation, maybe bringing in, the outside in view. So basically, we are trying to get them more connected to the outside, which probably in the pandemic, yes, everyone was kind of, wanting as well.
Yes, and I think it's a great starting point to actually look outward. Instead of
Correct.
looking just in your apartment when we go to a project, instead of just looking inside, what we actually do is we open up the windows and we see out. We try and really see what
Correct.
is there outside. Where's the view? Where are the trees? Where can we,
Yeah.
bring that view for the client? Where can we really bring the outdoors in? So windows
Correct.
really are very, very, very important to us. Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to our next question. How important is innovation and technology in your designs? I mean, how much are you towards kind of adapting to them, or probably wanting them, or keeping them at a distance?
I think with one of our latest projects, I'm sure you must be knowing that we did use, these new windows which are trending now in the industry, the vertical sliding windows. I think
Yeah.
innovation and technology is very important. It's very, very, very important to be up to date because, it's for a simple thing that the client just came up to me and told me that, okay, see, I have a terrace, and now how do I maximize or how do I
Right.
functionally use this terrace well in a way that I can actually double this up as a as a living, like as an extension to my living room, and plus I can use this window, I mean this particular terrace well, like what's the function, how can I really double this space up, because in Bombay we're not like living in bungalows, right? We're living in
Right.
apartments. So a 1600 square feet apartment which say probably does have a terrace also, we want to be able to use a terrace space also as an indoor space when required, especially when there's monsoons and rains and everything. So
Yeah.
when he asked me that question, I mean, I did a whole lot of research, and I think what I realized was, I came across vertical sliding windows, which
Yeah.
are pretty much now available and trending, and like so I realized that how these vertical sliding windows can stack up and go upward instead of going sidewards, right? So from
Yeah.
bottom to up, and they can come down, so they can literally go up and shut the space, and they can come down and they can mimic a railing,
Yeah.
a glass railing. So, I immediately kind of took to that, and I think I presented that to the client, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Because I said we can use retractable roofing on the top, and we can use these vertical sliders. And when there's monsoons in Bombay, you just have to close your entire terrace, and it becomes a glass box. And that is
Correct.
amazing usage of space, because today, I mean, we're in monsoons and he's completely enjoying that space. So I think that innovation and technology, the more and more we update ourselves, I think it only helps us better to give our clients the best that they can get in the market. Yeah.
Yeah, so what the window you're talking about is probably the guillotine window. Yes, it is a latest concept and mostly done by a few of the European companies. And
Yes.
yes, for places like Bombay, yes, definitely it is of very good use when it comes to covering your terraces or extended spaces.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next question now. Obviously, some bit of it you've already kind of touched upon in the previous answer, but still, anything more in terms of current trends that you've come across in fenestration other than this guillotine window?
Yes. So there are obviously the slimline series that I was telling you about. Now, I mean, earlier the window frames used to be more thick, like thicker
Wider,
the
yeah.
frames, yeah, wider and thicker, and then the soundproofing systems and stuff. But now you have thinner frames, more glass. So I think the slimline series are doing really well, and they've really picked up. Multi-slide and glide series, where you lift and slide and working on a multi-track. So these kind of series are really doing well now. And I think the finishes in windows. So when it comes to like not just like when you want to go for wooden windows, obviously there are companies in the market celebrating real wood windows and giving you wooden windows. But there are also like you do get a wooden finish window even in aluminium with the coating,
Yes.
with the wooden coatings done on it. So there are different types of techniques in terms of coatings. There are different types of windows. There are different types of glasses that you can use. The DGU glass, the laminated glass. There's so much going on because obviously now that comes into play when you want a protection from the UV rays. You want
Yes.
protection from heat. You want protection from cold. You want soundproofing. So there are many layers to a window. It's not just a window. It's like there's technology in framing, there's technology in glass work, there's technology in the finishes, there's technology in everything. So I think it's there's so much going on in the whole window industry. I think the best way that we keep up to date is obviously attending different fairs and trades and like exhibitions and
Right.
stuff, and really consulting with experts from the industry, and working closely with them and understanding from them how to work around it, because obviously we are not up to date with everything at all given point of time. But when we do attend these kind of exhibitions, what happens is we come across so many amazing materials, and interacting with vendors really help us take that to our clients. Yeah.
So, okay, now that we've touched something related to the specifics of Windows, I'd also like to kind of explain the viewers in a more easier language that when we talk about the finish, predominantly we have three kinds of finishes. One is anodizing, which is more to do with electroplating of the surface of aluminium section. Then there is powder coating, which is basically a deposit of powder on it. And the third is sublimation. Now, sublimation is basically a dual process wherein initially a polyurethane layer is put on the section with the help of powder coating, and then there is a sublimation layer, which is the heat transfer of the grains of wood onto the section, which gives it a wooden look. So you may call it a wood effect or sublimation. Sublimation is a more technical word. Anodizing, yes, lately people have really taken to anodizing a lot for the very reason that it is a more durable coating, especially for coastal areas like Bombay. And something
Yeah.
that has come up new in anodizing is that these days we get very fancy brush finish anodizing finishes. What the problem with anodizing is that since the coating is 10 to 15 microns, although more durable than either of the two surface treatments that I have said, powder coating and sublimation, the disadvantage is that sometimes the die of the aluminium has marks in it, and that gets imprinted onto the section. And that is why on a normal aluminium section, if you get anodizing done, you'll see some dye marks, which sometimes are not very favorable, although it's a property of the product. So the brush finish basically subdues it and gives it a totally different look altogether, a matte brush finish look. So that's to do with the surface treatment. And when we talk about the slim systems, I mean, something like the skyline that we have, something that the customer really needs to know about these products is a yes, that earlier we used to have a miter jointed rectangular frame, but now the vertical sections, many people ask us that, it's an expensive product, whereas we see less aluminum in it. So when we talk about structural calculations, you can never reduce the mass of aluminum around a glass because glass is a flexible material. The very function of an aluminum window or an aluminum section is to not let the glass deflect beyond its breaking limit, which is not too much. It's 3 to 4 mm, considering the span of the glass. So what is happening in a minimal window is that the wider look the orientation has been changed for the slimmer sides to be visible on the front, but you will see a depth by way of a reinforcement member. Although
Yeah.
in a drawing or in a section, it will be more visible. So many people, if they are looking at that particular window at an angle, might feel and might get to know that there is a depth to it. But from the elevation, yes, all you see is a
You
20
see only
mm
a
line.
yeah, yeah.
20
Which is
mm line,
amazing because
probably.
then you kind of
Yeah.
see such slim, slim window frames and you see an expanse of glass and it looks amazing. So of
Yeah.
course it
So
takes the
the
budgets up.
Yeah, so basically, I'd also like to say that, this concept is basically a Swiss concept wherein they follow a very minimalistic type of architecture and interior design. So the very intent of an architect who asked the company to design this product was he wanted to see a frameless exterior window, frameless with minimum glass visible. So that is where this concept came from. The outer frame needs to be concealed in the walls so that the sides are shown as zero and the
Yeah.
verticals are 20 mm. Why 20 mm? It can go down to 18 as well. But because 15 mm is the minimum infill of a glass in a section which is required. I mean, it just cannot be less than 15. And if you add on the section thicknesses, it goes up to 18 to 20 mm. So something about the section if someone wanted to know. So let's move on to the next question. Uh, Now, what recommendations, since that I understand some advanced products that are today existing in fenestration, what kind of advice or for that matter suggestions you would give us for innovating further into windows or let's say fenestration as a whole?
I think there is a lot that nowadays where windows are concerned, where roofing systems are concerned, where lighting systems are concerned. Like, for example, the skylight series that have come in, like, in terms of a sunroof, right? Like, that's like such an innovative product. You have the classic skylight and you have the smart skylight, where literally you can
Correct.
see it's like artificial sunlight coming into your home. It's like a light box that's installed, but it feels like a skylight. Like, you actually, the smart skylight is more about, like, say, sunlight coming in, like from morning, from sunrise to sunset. It shows you the various angles of the sun and how the light is coming through. So there's so much innovation in this industry of windows, of lighting, of roofing together, that is amazing. I think what's most important for, I think, companies and vendors to kind of more so look into is, I guess, the budgeting aspect of it, which that's why I was laughing about earlier, because yes, the more the windows, the merrier your space looks amazing for sure, but the budgets really go like to the
Hi.
peak, like, so windows are not like, cheap anymore. Like window le lo or laga diya. It's like there's so much, obviously there's a lot that goes into it in terms of innovation. If you want soundproof, you want, completely your windows, you want it the slim series, you want to, you want a wooden finish, plus you want, there's so much in the pricing also. There's so much of layering that, that
Yeah.
I think the budgeting is something that I think all our clients kind of start navigating on, because they're like, oh my god, like, do we have to really put so much of money only on windows? Yes, I mean, they don't understand at that point that why, the windows, of course windows are extremely important. And I think it's more also nowadays what's happening is the expanse is so much of your windows, so the
Yeah.
thickness of the glass, the security point of it, you know
Yeah.
so your windows have to be really secure. And along with that, there's also hardware. The innovations of
Correct.
hardwares have become another thing. So there's not just the frames, not just the glass, not just the the next thing is the hardware. The locking systems are so important. So I think that's where we need many more, like, better locking systems to obviously make our clients understand the security part of having luxury and big wide windows, but also the security part. The locking systems have to be really, really good. The safety aspect is very important. We don't want to
Okay.
put
So,
grills anymore outside. We
yeah.
definitely don't want to put tacky grills outside for any of our clients. So I think the
Yeah.
security aspect of windows have to be really, really, like, worked upon in a way where we can address, like, we can tell the clients that this is completely safe. And even if you hit the glass, if you do, like, say, DGU, double glazed glass, triple glazed glass, whatever, no one will be able to enter your house, and your locking system is extremely strong, because I really don't want to do grills for anybody.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, that disturbs the view totally. But
Yeah.
again, I'd add on to it. I definitely agree with you that these days the budgets of windows are actually skyrocketing. Now, there is a history to it. Frankly, aluminium as a material, I mean, I'll talk about aluminium for the time being, as a material has always been accepted in the Indian industry. Having said that, there was never engineering behind it. So the first element of price increase is because now the windows that you get are no more carpentered, they are machine made windows. As you rightly said, there is, aluminium has only become 25 to 30% part of the total cost of the windows. Something that has added upon is obviously the glass is the balance 25-30, and then the hardware 25-30, and then you add the EPDM gaskets which insulate the window, the glass from the aluminium, and also allows for breathing of the glass on the aluminium during temperature changes. So in a way, it has more become like an engineered product, and which previously, obviously, people used to. I mean, even today, people compare it with the cost of aluminium versus the window we are selling, and then we have to explain them the engineering aspect of it, which has been added. It's just like a watch. I mean, you buy a quartz or you buy a normal, hand woven watch. There is a difference. And the second thing is this, that since the industry is fairly new, because it's only lately that the industry is boomed. Earlier, it was always wood, and then UPVC took over because of its price advantages. In aluminium, the thing is that till date, there are not many accessory producers in India. So most of the good companies making a good product would be importing these accessories from Europe, which is kind of a hub of these engineered window systems. And window systems used there are by far advanced than what we are using in India still. Why? Because they mandatorily use thermal break over there because of the temperature conditions.
Yes.
So adding on to these engineering aspect and a lot of stuff being imported, the third aspect is obviously when you are talking about the residential segment, there's a lot of upmanship between customers. So, they want to showcase the best that they want, they want to put. So automatically when you're looking, I mean, when I talk about the guillotine, I'm not aware if any company in India is manufacturing it in India fully, completely. Basically, the whole thing comes either in a completely knocked down condition or a fully built condition from
Yeah.
Europe. With the add-on to the custom duties, etc. So probably I think, I mean, we definitely try and educate our customers of price versus the technology game, and where he would be spending more on importing, the product fully as against buying something from a indigenous source, which would definitely be a little economical. So considering that, I think if a customer actually ends up doing a little bit of research before going in for the product, I'm sure they're bound to find a reasonable product within their budget, which suits the architect requirement, the intent as well as their probably requirement. So that much for me from my side on the Windows aspect. So let's move on to the next question now. So I mean, again, what all good experiences you've had? I mean, wherein a fenestration probably just changed the way you had actually gone about designing the product. I mean, what all good experiences you've had in, using fenestration in just changing the look and feel of the product? Any specific project that you'd like to share with us or discuss with us?
Yeah, I mean, so one of our recent projects where we did use, so we used wooden windows in one of our recent projects, okay, real wood windows. ALCOI wood is what we used.
Yeah,
And the finishing, the polishes normally come in like, say, your browns, your
yeah,
Benge, walnut, all those dark wood polish finishes. But what we did was we worked with the vendor to give us like this a very vanilla, custard kind of a color, something that's different and not just the same. And I think those windows looked amazingly beautiful in our project once we did it. And in fact, we added, this, it was a more European looking kind of a home that we were trying to get, chase the aesthetics. So we added like Georgian bars to it. And I think it really added so much character to that particular space in that den. We created a den and it had this amazing blue library over there. So I think it added so much character in that space. It really got that space to life. So, whenever there is a view in a room, like when, outside the room, outside the particular space, if there's an amazing view a little at a distance, what normally people feel is that, oh, we should have the window completely clean and clear just to see the view. Yeah, when the view is very close to you, you know, in a way that you can frame that particular view, then I think you should use a picture window to frame the view. But when your view is already polluted with, say, buildings, and you know, then you see the sea after a point at a distance, I think to take you to the skyline or to take you to the view, I think adding that little bit of a design to your windows also, you know, takes a person's eyes there.
Yeah.
It kind of navigates your eye to that spot. You know, then someone would want to walk to that area and go and look at, oh, the space outside. You know, the window kind of just makes your eye travel to, you know, a spot that is beyond that, right? So I feel, you know, designing your window is also important. It's not necessary to just to keep it as plain glass. You know, adding a little bit of framework, Georgian bars always adds to it. So why not? I think that project was really interesting because we played with, you know, a lot of all that. And secondly, again, in the same project, you know, on the terrace is where we use the vertical sliding windows. I call it the vertical
Yeah.
sliding windows, whatever you may call it, because it's easier for me
Yeah.
to explain my
Yeah.
clients. So, you know, the vertical sliding windows is where we use, you know, which help them, you know, use and utilize their terrace space so beautifully that now it just works better for them to kind of extend their living room. And you know, and in the monsoons it's working very well. So this particular project, I think I really enjoyed in terms of the windows, you know, the window treatments. In fact, there was a curved wall, like it's an art deco building, so there was a curved wall, and we worked with like the wooden windows even on the curved, you know, walls. So I think there were a lot of challenges, but yeah, we kind of sailed through it.
Okay, great. So basically, in small projects, or let's say where you want to do a lot, every element has to be kind of thought of before kind of introducing in that project. Why? Because every element kind of can become the showstopper. So I do agree with
Yes,
you on that.
I think absolutely in this particular project, our vertical sliding windows on the terrace with the retractable roofing has been the showstopper of the space. I think anyone who's gone to that home, and like, you know, my clients have called me up and told me that this space, the terrace, is where the money is. Like, you know, like literally,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's where, so that space has really turned out amazing, you know, in terms of utility and functionality.
Great. So, I mean, the last question I always ask every architect or interior designer, how do you think that we can educate our customers more about the present, technologies in fenestration, maybe the sustainability aspect, etc. So, how do you think, we can go about as the key stakeholders of the industry? I mean, we as vendors and you guys as architects and interior designers, that we can create a platform or some form or the other wherein we can educate our customers for taking the right decision.
I think you're already beautifully doing that by doing these live sessions, because, you
Mm.
know, I think these kind of videos is where, you know, education kind of starts from. Obviously, we are not the people who know it all. Y'all know way better, and we are coming to y'all also to like learn the technicalities of the trade. But I think going to exhibitions, as I said, like, you know, for where we really learn a lot from is when we visit you know, different exhibitions, and when we see the products, when we feel the product, we understand the technicalities, we go into the details of, you know, technical drawings. We, in fact, you know, this product was so new to me, which I used in this previous project, that you know, wanted to learn about the, like, I kind of, you know, worked on the technical drawings along with my, you know, the team who was on that particular project, and we kind of, you know, learned about the section and, you know, the thickness and how it's going
Yeah.
to fit. And there's so much to learn. I think with every project where we're using different types of windows, we are only learning. You know, I can't come to a project and then I can't say that, you know, oh, I know it all about this particular window, or how we can. I can't say that, because every window system is different. Every windows, yes, requirement is, yes, we do make jam cells and this and that, those are basics, but the point is that it all comes with different, you know, everything has a different kind of a section, and you know how you have to make the window. So there's a lot of technicalities when you go into it. So I think it's just about you know, doing that one extra meeting with your, you know, the vendor or with the window company, sitting down with them and really understanding the technicalities, learning ourselves first correctly and understanding, and then going and probably presenting it to the client. You know, because and you know what I also always do is, you know, I probably take my, you know, the window vendor or the window company along. We have a meeting together, so that if there's any question, you know, asking questions is very important. If there's any questions, you know, my clients are, you know, kind of open to ask. We can, you know, kind of navigate through, any kind of questions that they have, and we can kind of communicate better and, like, have them to understand what they're really going in for. Because obviously if they're spending money, that's the bone of your space. Along with the walls, the windows add to the structure of your home, and I think that has to be extremely secure, and important. So yeah.
Great. So I think very well said. I think you made this session very easy for me by answering more on the windows than me requiring to really say much about aluminum windows. And it was a great session with you, Noorein. Any few last words you'd like to say on the topic of the day?
Open the windows is what I want to say. Really, just open up your windows, get a lot of natural light in, breathe fresh air, guys. I think that's like the best home that you can have. If you can get natural light in, I think it's the best space you can create. It's very important. I
Great.
love
Thank you. Thank
in
you.
all my projects.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for promoting, more connect with the nature for everyone.
Yes,
It was a pleasure to
absolutely.
have you with us today. And it will be also a pleasure for us when we are there. We try and meet you. And you're most welcome to Chandigarh anytime. And
Yes,
please do give us a drop by.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nitin.
Thank
Thank you. It
you.
was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.